Bendel, Hyman, Levy, Kahn, Wise, Kaplan, Corona, Falk. My name is Dr. Zachary Stein. I am the Interim Assistant Dean of Technical Services at Edith Garland Dupre Library, University of Louisiana at Lafayette. So before I got this current position, I was the head of special collections at the library, and the main mission and goal was to collect like items and materials from individuals, organizations, and different groups that represent the Acadiana region, and that includes like a wide variety of different kinds of people. It can include Cajun, Creole, African American, and also the Jewish community as well. So it's believed that that the first Jewish families came probably around the mid 1800s, which was also around the time that the first congregations were being set up in New Orleans, which has one of the largest Jewish communities in Louisiana. Reasons, well, one possible reason is there were many Jews from Europe who were refugees of the Franco-Prussian War, and so that one of the reasons why they may have come here. Yeah. There may very well have been other waves, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I think it was largely these families as kind of first established, gotcha. And then more came. A large number came from like Germany and Alsace-Lorraine. And I know this is one of your later questions, but what's interesting is, especially the ones that came from Alsace-Lorraine, they were already French. They were French speakers, and when they came here, that was one of the things that helped them become, I guess, coexist with Cajuns, since they were also French speakers as well. Yeah. From what we know, it appears that the interactions were largely friendly and peaceful. Part of that, especially with regards to the Cajuns, part of that is, one, they were French speakers, so they can interact with them. Another possibility is that the Acadians were, or many Acadians may have understood what some of these Jews went through, because they also were exiles for religious and cultural purposes from Acadie in Canada. It is also believed that even though the Cajuns or Acadians were staunchly Catholic, they also seem to have a very libertarian view of like other people's religion, and that as long as they could practice their religion, everybody else can practice their own as well. So they had it's almost like they had a laissez-faire attitude towards that, and with that, they were able to coexist with Jews. When we think of the Bendel name, yeah, we mostly think of Henri Bendel, though he did have a very large family here. He's the main one we think of. Henri Bendel, of course, is a famous fashion designer. Even though he was mostly based in New York and Paris, he was born and grew up in Lafayette, or at the time it was called Vermilionville. And then in fact, I believe one of his relatives even, I think it was his sister and his brother-in-law, lived in the French house, what is now the French house at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. But obviously Bendel established his own line, Henri Bendel Inc. And then of course when he came back here to retire, he started building his mansion, which, and though he didn't get to finish it, it would then become what we know as Bendel Gardens. Maurice Hyman is often credited for almost like developing Lafayette into the hub city, as it's now called, or the metropolis that it is now. So he was a businessman originally from New Orleans, and when he came to Lafayette, he started off like many different kinds of businesses. And of course, the one he's best known for is he founded the Hyman Oil Center, which certainly stimulated Lafayette's economy. In addition to all that, he also was known for giving to various charities and also just serving the community, both just the Lafayette community and also the Jewish community as well. He also gave to the university. In fact, his house is currently the Alumni Center. Yeah, there are many Jewish people of Lafayette who've like made some sort of mark. One such individual is Benjamin Falk, who was considered like almost like a jack of all trades in a way. He was actually the stepfather of Henri Bendel. So he was not only an assistant fire chief, a merchant, and also a city alderman. He also founded the first opera house in the city. In fact, and also his wife, Mary Plonsky, I believe, she also owned many different businesses. In fact, I believe her department store was below the opera house. There was also one businessman, Bruno Corona, who was one of the individuals who helped establish the university, or have the university take place in Lafayette. In fact, Corona Hall is named after him, and his daughter, her name was Ulla Corona Abramson. She was I believe, part of the first class at the university. And then there was also Flora Levy, or the Levy family in general. The Levy and the Polonskys, they also owned many businesses, including at one point they owned Borden's ice cream shop. And Flora Levy was also a bank. She was a banker, part of the First National Bank in Lafayette. And then when she retired, she basically made an endowment to the university, and that is being used as the Flora Levy lecture series, where different scholars and writers in the humanities come to the university to give lectures, and that was directed by her longtime friend and also fellow Jewish congregant and English professor, Dr. Maurice Duquesne. Certainly, there is the cemetery. That was actually that plot of land was actually donated by the former governor Alexander Mouton, and when the cemetery was set up, the Jewish community at that time created a board that would help maintain the cemetery and such, and obviously it still remains today. And then of course there is the synagogue, Temple Shalom, which also that land was also donated by Governor Mouton. It started off as Temple Rodef Shalom. That's what it was originally called. It initially had begun as an Orthodox congregation, and then it became Reform, which it remains today. And so at some point it did split off from like younger and older people, and that synagogue became Yeshurun, which is no longer active. They came back together, and now it's Temple Shalom. And there were Maurice Hyman was a member, and there were many interesting kind of activities they'd done. One such that's very interesting. It's not active anymore. Was the Temple Sisterhood, which was made up of the women of the synagogue. And mainly they would get together. They ran the Hebrew school. They would set up a lot of different fundraising activities, charitable contributions. I mean, it's some example. They did, they did many fundraising and charities for service to the blind. They also, I believe, sent I think over 100 canned goods to refugees during the Holocaust. And they also had fundraising. There was one fundraising event they called it the spaghetti, where they would have like spaghetti dinners, and they even had like homemade tomato sauces, and those and the money that they would make from that, Maurice Hyman would match, and that would be the temple budget. Uh, those those recipes and many other things are in the UL archives. So anybody interested in look at those can see them. Well, certainly down here, where in Lafayette, where it's such a small community, there is almost it's almost like it's like a sense of there is like a sense of family and camaraderie. We know we are small. We know we are compact, but we know that we can. We know that we have this tight knit community, and that we can we depend on each other. We can count on each other. Uh, if we need help with something, we know we can reach out. I know when I first moved down here, when I'm looking for a place to live, one of the first places I called was the temple, and the person on there answered, and yeah, she gave me like exact places of where to look. So yeah, so just just that act of just that act of community has really been a blessing. I guess I would say just that just keeping on that not just tradition, but just the whole being able to like stick together. Um, be it through different kinds of like activities, not just within the Jewish community, but with other either religious or cultural groups in general. Um, I mean, we talked a little bit about some of the activities of the sisterhood. Those are that's something that I would love to see start up again, or something like that to continue. Um, but yeah, I guess also just and also just I guess what I would like people to take away from this is just the idea that there's so many different kinds of people out there. Different faiths, different viewpoints and such. And I feel like with this, especially with this community, it's a way for, I guess it's just like a way for us to kind of come together and show that, we're a very diverse. Lafayette in general, like it's such a diverse group of people, and it's something that we all should just embrace. I would say I really love crawfish etouffee.
Nice.
Probably not kosher, but that's okay.